GCIC Citizen Baraza. This is a show that's brought to you by the Government Citizen Interaction Center, a unit under State House that has been set up to bridge the information gap between government and citizens. Now, we usually have this Citizen Baraza every so often in a month so that we can bring to you all sorts of issues that are concerning service delivery. We get to provide a chance and an avenue for citizens to get to ask questions about the different service delivery issues that may come up. Now today, we're privileged enough to host two esteemed officials from the Uganda Revenue Authority who are going to help us talk about an important aspect in Uganda's economic landscape, and that is tax incentives and the recent tax amendments. With me today is Mr. Michael Masembe and Lucy Ikomo. I hope I got the names right.
Yes.
Right. To kick things off, I'll start with you, Michael. Please tell us about these tax incentives. We constantly hear of incentives, manufacturers talking about incentives, but some of us never know what these things are. And apparently, every time you talk about deductions or anything to do with saving your money for your business, or maybe avoiding to pay tax, I don't know if avoiding is the right word, people get interested. So kindly let the viewers or listeners know a thing or two about incentives.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad to be hosted on the GCIC Baraza. We talk to the citizens, especially that in most cases when they meet URA, we are on the other side of reminding and asking them to pay this tax that we need. Now, yes, there are a series of incentives that the Parliament has laid out over the years to incentivize business, because tax, as we know it, takes from the business, but it is the same tax regime that is expected to enable the business to make whatever it's able to make, so that at the end of the year, there is income of which a fraction is remitted to government as tax. So a series of incentives exist for agriculture, for the people in trade, for people who are in manufacturing, for people who are in hotel, education, and other sectors, as we may look at them. But then the dynamics change, and that's why we see that every time the budget is read, the macro and economic conditions change. And so you need to retune the incentives to the circumstances that have been projected within the short term, medium term, and maybe to the end of the year. So you have to make adjustments, and you realize that these adjustments have been made. I would give you one, for example. From the time we've seen, from the years of COVID, let's say 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, we haven't seen major new taxes coming aboard. What has been done actually is to create a tax regime that enables businesses to punch out of the COVID restrictions and constraints, but at the same time, to enable them to stabilize.
Right.
Those are two major things that anyone who is operating a business, or whichever sector you are, you need to be cognizant of. One, to enable you to punch yourself out of the constraints that COVID has given us, and then stabilize your business. But most important is for you to know, how do I take advantage of what the government is providing? Because, like my colleague will be sharing shortly, some of these incentives are only for 1 year. Because like we said, the circumstances keep on changing. We have emerging trends. One I will give you is to look at the digitization of our economy as it is happening. Before COVID, yes, digitization was there, but it wasn't a big thing. It is during COVID that we got to appreciate the delivery of certain services and products electronically, where you wanted to have limited physical interaction with anyone. So we've had these provisions available, depreciation allowance available to people who set up buildings and other items or setups where they have to manufacture, produce, or deliver services. We have other allowable expenditures in a business that you go through, the salaries you pay to your employees, the inputs you go through, You talk about the research expenditure, the training expenditure that you have to take your staff through to create a certain a standard of delivering your particular product or the service that you're giving out to the people.
So maybe for emphasis,
Yes.
you said training and maybe scientific research,
Yeah.
or this industrial building. I accept from that.
Yes, this is all expenditure that you incur as you run your business, but expenditure that will be allowed to you to deduct at the end of the year. And you are therefore will not recognize that when it is looking at your profit. You are able to say, knock off everything there, subtract the training expenditure, the research expenditure, and the salary expenditure, and all the other costs that you go through, startup costs. For the colleagues in agriculture, Uganda is a largely agricultural economy. The persons in agriculture have a lot of expenditure in terms of farm works. Okay, the infrastructure, the fences and the hedges, the farm quarters where the staff sleep, and so many other works that you do on the farm. All these are knocked off and they're subtracted before we look at what you will have to pay. And then what we need to remember also is there are a series of exemptions on the inputs that you use in agriculture. The inputs themselves, talk about all the equipment. For example, if you're registered as a farmer, importing a tractor into Uganda, you will have this waiver of taxes on that. But remember, and that is, I think, what the Baraza brings to us, you need to know that you must be registered as a farmer in the URA database. When you are registered for a TIN, you need to confirm and be sure that you are registered as a farmer, not a person who has been since 2015 registered as a trader, but in 2022 you realize that you need to try some farming, and so you import a tractor. We will see you as a trader trying to import a tractor.
Actually, that's where a lot of confusion comes.
Yes.
Because the people who say, well, if tractors are brought into the country tax-free, why am I paying for it?
Exactly.
Without having to be registered.
Exactly. And this is the value that the Baraza gives you, that you need to understand the detail that is behind this benefit that the government is giving, that the exemption on the tractor is given to someone who is a farmer.
Right.
And a person not who is only practicing as a farmer, but who is also in the URA register, recognized and registered as a farmer. So these benefits are there, and we will try to do a few checks. Of course, we will try to have a few checks. We'll check out your farm in Wakiso, your farm in Buikwe, to see whether it is actually there.
Yeah.
Okay? So that is why we will say, okay, maybe we can talk to your LC3 person or your local authority, the local administration. We'll talk to a few people and check whether you are really a farmer, because you could be bringing this tractor and you don't have even any farm anywhere.
Yeah.
But you want to hire it out to people, and your business is hiring out tractors. Yeah. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I think we're going to get back to the incentives much later. Let's first bring in Lucy. Kindly explain to us the recent we've heard of the recent tax amendments being implemented by URA. What were the objectives, and what are some of these amendments that were made?
Thank you so much. So happy to be here on the Baraza. Thank you so much for hosting us. Yeah, basically, we've had tax incentives that have been implemented this financial year, and amendments. And one of the objectives that has made us bring in these tax incentives and amendments basically is to promote industrialization. This is promoting our BUBO, Build Uganda, Buy Uganda. That is mainly why these incentives have been put and these tax amendments, because we want to promote the local industry and we also want to build Uganda at large. Yeah, basically that's why most of the amendments have been done this financial year.
And so, speaking of promoting industrialization, someone out there with a small factory might be wondering, oh, maybe these incentives or or amendments were made for businesses with millions of dollars in revenue or turnovers. Is there anything available for SMEs or maybe small industrialists? Or
Yes, most cases, as long as you are in the industry, whether you're small, whether you are big, as long as you're in the production of that item. For example, let me give an example of people who are in the manufacturers of sanitary pads. Yes, we have inputs for the manufacture of sanitary pads remitted to 0% import duty. Yes, we have very many manufacturers in small houses, yes, who are manufacturing baby diapers. They are manufacturing pads for young girls, teenage girls, who cannot buy these sanitary pads that are being sold on the market, but they use reusable sanitary pads. We have really supported small industries who are very small, and we have really supported them by giving them a remission of duty to 0% import duty on their raw materials that are being used to manufacture the pads and the baby diapers.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of local, because sometimes it gets lost in translation or definition. When you mention local, are you talking about a Ugandan? Are you talking about an East African national? Who gets to benefit from these domestic incentives?
No, they are not domestic. It's import duty. It is import duty when you are importing in your raw materials. So the people who benefit, as long as you have industry in Uganda, yes, and some remissions are regional, whereby you may find that Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, they have the same remission of duty for their respective manufacturers in that industry. Yes, so there are some that are regional, there are some that are specific to Uganda. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, you see. Michael, back to you. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about how foreigners get to enjoy incentive, especially that 10-year tax holiday. They say, well, these foreigners come here, yet it's our country, and we are not given the same treatment. Kindly explain to us what is in place for the domestic investors and for the foreign investors, and maybe if there are other benefits that a domestic investor can enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. One kind of clarification that we need to make is any benefits anyone earns under the tax regime are under the law, and they are enjoyable by anyone who sets up shop in Uganda, whether foreign or what. You will come set up an industry here, whether you're foreign or you're a local and indigenous entrepreneur. We will give you this benefit, and you will need to apply for it. That we need to say. URA will not find you wherever you are and just give this benefit to you. You will need to apply for it. And at times where we fail at it is on the conditions. And I was trying to talk about that when we were bringing the example of the tractor.
Yeah.
Now, when government gives the incentive, actually government is forfeiting revenue, because ideally government would collect tax from you as a manufacturer. It would collect tax from you as a hotelier. It would collect tax from you as an entrepreneur, a school proprietor. But government says, now, I just talked about those sectors, not to say that I say they are exempted, but as an entrepreneur, as an investor, government is saying, I will not tax this. And it is as though government is saying, I choose not to collect that tax, even though ideally I won't collect it. So now government wants to know, who is Peter that I am giving the benefit?
Yeah.
So we will ask a few questions. Where are you located? Are you registered with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau? For all the other elements, do you have a trading license in the locality where you are operating? We don't want to give to these benefits to ghost investors. You give an incentive that is maybe 100 million worth of a caution, and the guy is not in a group. You drive to Gulu to check out this manufacturer and he's not there. So we'll need the city authority, the city and municipal government in Gulu to confirm that you are there. That while the government is giving you a benefit on a VAT exemption on the items, an income tax exemption if you are in a particular category of business, you must be on ground. And so we'll check a few of those things. Do you file all the other taxes if the law has been designed in a way that your taxes, your income as a company will not pay tax? Do you pay withholding tax from your employees and your suppliers? Okay, so all of those are there. But what we are trying to say is the benefits are available for everyone. That is number one. Two, what I have seen, especially from post-COVID, government has tried to give a window to start a new page with the taxpayer, with the investor, because many of our investors were hugely affected during COVID. Apart from those who are able to tweak their business and shift to the demand of the items that were actually on demand during the COVID period, many were affected. So I saw amendments coming in that were waiving interest and penalty before 2020 June. Okay, that was waived. Even when we look at the amendments that have come this year, there is another waiver of any penalties and interest from anyone. Today is 30th June. We expect taxpayers right now to be paying their final tax and their provisional tax by close of midnight. But the same provision that was read by the minister a few weeks ago, I think, when the budget reading, that if anyone has any pending penalty, interest, and principal tax unpaid, but by 31st December, you're able to clear these, all the penalty and interest, you're able to clear just the tax. Okay? All the penalty and interest will be forgotten. It will be waived. Yes. So by 30th June today, do you have any penalty and interest with URA? If the answer is yes, you just arrange within the next six months to pay only the tax, and all the other penalty and interest will be forgotten.
Yeah.
You get it? Now, that is an opportunity for one to start a new page on your tax ledger, on your tax position with URA. If you're not able to do so, the guidance is pay to a fraction possible, and it is to that fraction possible that the penalty and interest will be waived again. So it is up to us to make a decision about that, but I think it is a good opportunity for us as taxpayers, because I'm a taxpayer, you're a taxpayer. If you have that private business and you're not only into employment, to use these benefits and really see your business not pulled down by these penalties and interest. They can be really, really destabilizing. Now, the other, because you're talking about incentives, the incentives are not necessarily bringing money direct into your pocket. But there is a scenario that you will look at that is being created. It's an environment that is enabling you as a manufacturer, because we are talking value addition. Bubu. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. We are talking export promotion, import substitution. So how do we protect our local manufacturer? The design in the law has been, and I've seen this progressively developing, tweaks to improve the regime every year, that if you are a local manufacturer and you have met all the requirements, okay, there are discussions that are provided to you on the inputs that you use, on the raw materials that you use. That is there. But at the same time, and beyond that, when you are a local manufacturer, especially for items where we have digital tax stamps, we want to protect you. The law seeks to protect you as a manufacturer. So how is the law protecting you? We would like to weed out all the illicit manufacturers from the market to make it possible for those who are legally trading to enjoy the market. The guy pays a trading license. The guy meets all the UNBS standards. The guy pays all his tax. Why should that guy be knocked out of the market by an illicit producer of items in the market? So our implementation of the digital tracking solution to protect the legal operators in the market And that's why you see the penalties for people who are misusing, applying the wrong tax stamps on the wrong product. I mean, the tax stamp is genuine, but you're putting it on the wrong product. When you're convicted, the penalties are really going high. 30 million and other illegal activities around the same, fetching you penalties of 10 million. The enhancement of those penalties is to inhibit any operators who are destabilizing, because the challenge and the feedback we are getting from the manufacturers is, you have asked me to do everything. UNBS, I'm meeting the standards. URA, I'm paying. Trading license, I'm doing it. NSSF remittances for my employees, I am doing everything legally and required by all regulators for me to fulfill. But why are products all would be competitors, but who are actually not complying, kicking me out of the market? So we are seeing the changes in the tax law that are addressing that gap. And we are actually trying to make sure that it is enforced to give benefit and maybe to give an advantage to those manufacturers who are doing good on what they are expected to enjoy the market. That way we'll have a lot to sell locally, which will improve our domestic revenue, but at the same time we'll have a lot to export, which will fetch us $1 and improve our forex standing as a country.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Michael. That was quite an elaborate answer. I'm sure no one else will ask anything that I just will pose any question that I just posed. Lucy, maybe you'll share this same question, but someone out there who's wondering, as Uganda is battling and trying to improve on its tax revenue collection, and then yet again you're providing incentives, how then do you strike a balance between the two?
Yeah, we're trying to basically what we are doing as customs, how we are protecting the manufacturers in the local in Uganda vis-a-vis the people who are doing the importations of the same products. I will still give you the same example of people who are in the importation of diapers, baby diapers. Like I've said, we already have local industries that are manufacturing diapers. So basically, as you see in the new amendments this financial year, you may see that the diapers have been increased. Import duty has been increased to 35% import duty, and VAT, originally VAT was 0% on diapers, and this time they have been put back. So basically, when you import diapers from Egypt, from China, from UK, you are going to pay 35% import duty and 18% VAT, 6% withholding tax, and 1.5% infrastructure levy. So in this case, we are trying to protect the local manufacturer who is out there doing a lot to employ our young children in these industries and also building Uganda at large. So basically, that is how we are protecting our local manufacturers. Of course, we also have very many, for example, we have another person who is manufacturing gloves, surgical gloves, in the industrial area. So basically, all those, we are trying to protect them by increasing import duty on those products that are being imported into the country.
Thank you so much. You see, maybe before we end this, the pre-recorded version, just in a minute, let us know about the incentives, just in 1 minute, maybe for someone who hasn't been tuning in, you can just explain to them in a minute what incentives and what amendments have been made. Maybe if you can be specific about a few that you think Ugandans need to know about. Just 1 minute, Michael.
Yes, thank you. We have schemes. First, let me talk about the Free Zones Authority, the Free Zones arrangement, where someone who wants to manufacture in the country, there are gazetted areas where you can come in and import everything in this free zone area. Everything, it will be duty-free. You manufacture as long as you intend to export whatever you have manufactured in there. So this is available for everyone. And then we have these other items like inputs for manufacturing, equipment and raw materials. These are exempted from paying taxes, and you will import as long as it's manufactured. Now, I want to link this to what you had asked earlier. Where is how do we play the balancing act between tax revenue and the incentives? It is in the expectation that while government enables you to manufacture, and it will give you these incentives on the inputs and everything, the expectation is you will employ more Ugandans. You will produce more and export more. Then the taxes on the products that you produce, like value-added tax, like pay as you earn on the employees, like local excise duty, will be the benefit that government will get while it chooses to forfeit the income tax on your profit. So that is the act. So enable, the idea in the tax regime is enable production, enable trade. Don't stifle anyone who is in the value creation process. Allow the value to reach the point of consumption. And at that point, whoever is maybe consuming, you can take benefit of that through the consumption taxes like local excise duty, like value-added tax, employee taxes like pay as you earn. That is where we see the benefit. And then we have also tried to expand to lessen the burden on everyone on whom we are focusing. We've tried to expand the taxes and the definition into services that have not previously been optimally taxed. Services that like imported digital services, we've had to redefine these because there has been a bit of a gray area. Cloud services, those storage services, the cab hailing services, we've defined all of them into the scope of being taxed, such that they are making money in Uganda, and there are other service providers who are located in Uganda doing the same that pay tax, but the other providers who are hailing from out are not paying that tax. So we are trying to create that balance in the business area, the operating environment, such that there is the same feel and fairness across board.
Thank you so much, Michael. Lucy, your parting shot.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, basically, the new remissions that have been made up in this new financial year, basically we have inputs in the manufacture of lubricants. People who are manufacturing lubricants, there's a remission of duty for all your raw materials to 0% import duty. People who are manufacturing pencils, those ones also, they have remitted their duty on inputs to 0% import duty. Then we also have people who are doing, who are manufacturing sandpaper and paint brushes. Yes, we have some of their inputs that have been also remitted to 0% import duty, and also kitchenware. Yes, we have our manufacturers who are downtown there, and they're really doing a good job. So some of their raw materials, we've also remitted them to 0% import duty. And you will notice that these items, most of them have been increased. They have increased import duty to 35%. That is the fourth ban that was introduced by the EAC. So most of those raw materials, they have increased them for people who are importing them as finished products. But then we are giving a remission to our local manufacturers, giving them a remission to 0% import duty. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. That was Michael and Lucy from Uganda Revenue Authority giving us some insights into the tax incentives and amendments that have recently been made. Please do stick with us. We still have this conversation about tax incentives. If you think you are left out, please, we're getting onto the Twitter Spaces now. Do join us. The hashtag to use is Citizen Baraza. Thank you once again, Michael and Lucy. We continue the conversation on Twitter.